Personally, in a meta where it is considered the 8th worst class in the game, hello everyone, this is Hearthstone Meta Hype. I am eCore100 with my friend Venga. How is it going, Venga?
I am doing well, brother. Hope you are doing well too. We got a lot to talk about today, and I am just hyped up. You know how we do.
No, yeah, not the expansion, the nerfs are coming out, and it's gonna change everything up. Demon Hunter has played like 30+% of games, and now with these nerfs, I think it's gonna be played a decent amount less. What do you think?
I can't believe it. I just 30%. It feels like it's 80%. But yeah, I mean, I checked the statistics, and 20 to 30% of your games are against some form of Demon Hunter. So who knows what's gonna go on?
No, yeah. In my last, I think 120 games, I think it was 34% of my games are against Demon Hunter over the past 3 or 4 days. So I'm very happy that there is this nerf coming out. I'm actually super excited.
Yeah, well,
I want to see where the meta goes.
Yeah, definitely, man. By this time, the nerfs will be live and stuff, and I understand that you have a couple of predictions of what you think the classes are going to be that are going to be good and bad, and you're going to go over each one of those. So let's roll with the 10, the 10, starting with the...
Let's start with the number one right now anyway, Demon Hunter, and just talk about it because it's the one getting nerfed. I think that this class is still going to be one of the most popular decks, and the win rate will still be, in my opinion, probably top 4. I actually think that there are other decks that I'm going to talk about, but I think that it'll be a top 4 class, depending on how hard these nerfs are.
Yeah.
Because in my head, I'm thinking these are going to be really good nerfs, and I think that they targeted a lot of really impactful cards. But a part of me is also like, is it enough? But another part of me is like, they nerf so many things. Is it too much?
Yeah.
Because they just nerfed. Yeah. So,
I mean, I was just gonna say that essentially, I mean, the Demon Hunter nerfs, the class was so powerful, and it still remains a very powerful class. So I do believe that the nerfs will have an effect. However, I think that they're not like ones that will kill the class. They're more that will balance the class and get it back a little bit. There may be more, believe it or not. With Demon Hunter, I agree with you. I still believe that it will be.
It's also,
I still believe it will be on top.
No, yeah. It's also because it's so cheap. It's just so accessible for people to just pick up and play. Like, even if it gets nerfed, Soul Demon Hunter and Aggro Demon Hunter, despite the nerfs, are still going to be some of the most cost-efficient decks in the entire game. Like, they require 1 to 3 legendaries depending on build, and it's so good. And that doesn't even include OTK Demon Hunter, which has been on the rise, and I think is actually a really solid deck, and I think it'll only get better. Like, because of OTK Demon Hunter, that's why I'm putting it still as a top 4, maybe even top 3 class. But we'll see. Also, I'm basing this on like all ranks, not just like higher legend, and some people at like other ranks are probably playing different things. Because Demon Hunter is played the most in ranks 1 and 2 and 5 of 6 of every single division. So like Silver 1, Silver 2, Silver 5, Silver 6. That's where people play Demon Hunter the most because they're trying to rank up. Just keeping that in mind. So the next class is Hunter. Hunter's Bran is getting nerfed. Voracious Reader is getting nerfed. And Pull Celt is getting nerfed. And those... 2 of those cards, Voracious Reader and Pull Celt, affect Demon Hunter too, but I think that Hunter isn't quite as strong as Demon Hunter, so it'll get hurt a little bit more, and slowing down Bran by a turn is actually huge. Like, the whole point is that turn 7 power play is a way to finish off the opponent, and if the opponent has 1 extra turn to survive, just one extra turn to set up maybe a taunt minion or heal up a little bit or gain some armor, could be a huge swing. Like, think about it. If I have to wait as a Hunter player to play Bran on turn 7, let's say against a Druid, because that'll probably raise in popularity with Aggro Demon Hunter going down, their turn 7, they overflow, and then play one of those Anubisath Defenders all in one turn, so they heal 5, get a taunt out there, and draw 5 cards, and next thing I know, I'm in a much worse position than I just was because I have to wait 1 more turn to try to finish him off with Bran. So I feel like Hunter is going to get hurt more than Demon Hunter by the nerfs. By which I mean, like, they're probably both going to drop, but I think Hunter's going to be in a worse position overall.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you on that. I mean, one of the things is some people, but not all, and underestimate how much one mana will really do. The Dino Tamer brand nerf is just pretty hurtful to the Highlander archetype, and it has a played win rate of 61.1%, and that's in legend rank. So you're talking about one mana that it might lower that it might lower that significantly. It would be interesting to see where this card and the class goes in that archetype. To maybe that might drop at like 5-7%, because it'll give you a chance to stabilize the board. Maybe there's just lots of things that you could do. You can, instead of anticipating that it's coming on turn 7, you're kind of you have one more turn to plan for it, so you're not racing against the clock. So yeah,
exactly.
Hunter could be in trouble a little bit, not a lot.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump into 3 classes all at the same time here for the sake of time, and I think that they all have a very similar situation. Paladin, Shaman, and Rogue are classes that I think are only going to go up because of this. Also Warlock, but Warlock's so far at the bottom right now that I'll get into that one later on. But Paladin, Shaman, and Rogue are all classes that, at least Shaman and Rogue, kind of struggle into Demon Hunter, so the nerf to Demon Hunter will just make them stronger, and they have good matchups into a lot of other decks in the meta right now, and with Demon Hunter being nerfed, all of these decks are going to rise. I think that they're all going to, because right now, it's Demon Hunter and Hunter at 1 and 2, and then Paladin, Shaman, and Rogue at 3, 4, 5. I think Paladin, Shaman, and Rogue are going to at least move up 1 spot and bump Hunter down. And I can say with decent certainty that maybe 1 or 2 of them will knock Demon Hunter out of number 1. I'm not entirely sure. Rogue is a very skill-based class, and because of how combo-oriented it is, I think that it might be 4th and Demon Hunter might be 3rd. But if people get more comfortable with the Rogue class and the meta fits Rogue really well, I think that it's probably going to be like Paladin and then Shaman, or Shaman and Paladin, then Demon Hunter, then Rogue, and then some other things. Yeah. But yeah, these classes are just only going to get better with these nerfs. In fact, none of the cards actually affect them. Pull Celt doesn't affect any of them. Voracious Reader doesn't affect any of them. And then the other cards are class cards, but yeah.
Yeah, looking at the Evolve Shaman, at the time of this recording, it had a 56.11% win rate. This is just a tier 1 off of the tier list from Hearthstone replay, from HS replay. So, and this is at legend ranked as well. So all regions, basically. I mean, 56.11%, and the core cards in there just have not been touched. Like I said, none of them are part of it. And I do totally agree. The only thing is I think that Pure Paladin is going to be even stronger, and I think that Evolve Shaman will be second. I think you're going to see the number 1 deck is going to be some form of Pure Paladin. Second will be Evolve Shaman, and I believe it or not, I think Demon Hunter is going to be there, because we got a lot of smart deck constructors out there, and I don't think that Demon Hunter was touched too much.
And OTK Demon Hunter, like I said, will still be a thing that keeps it as a top class, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know. When looking at Evolve Shaman, its literal worst matchup is Aggro Demon Hunter, and one of its like 4th or 5th worst is Soul Demon Hunter. So with its worst matchup being nerfed pretty heavily, I think Evolve Shaman's going to benefit more. Because Pure Paladin actually beats Soul Demon Hunter across all regions 65.84% of the time. This is at all ranks though, so I mean, if we look at specifically Legend, it's probably different, but yeah, Pure Paladin beats Soul Demon Hunter 62% of the time in Legend. Evolve Shaman gets blasted by Demon Hunter. It's just the whole problem with Shaman, and also Totem Shaman, is if you get rushed down early before you can set anything up, like your totems or your evolve combos, it just loses. So I think it's just going to benefit more. And then Rogue is just one of those classes that's, if you know how to play it, will always be good. And without a super aggressive deck just blasting you in the face like Soul Demon Hunter and also Highlander Hunter, I think that that's only going to get better as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Rogue class is just amazing. And sometimes you feel like it can't handle big boards, and then all of a sudden it can. and then
it just does.
and it
You're like,
does, right? You're like, what just, and it's, wow, what just happened? And so it's basically, like you said, it's the high skill set deck and a class, and it will see a lot of play, and I think that we could see some rogue. But I really feel like you're going to see it's going to be Shaman Paladin meta here. What's up next, bro? What do you got?
Okay, so the next is Warrior, and of all of the decks that weren't directly nerfed, I think Warrior is going to get hit the hardest. I think it's actually going to drop a couple of percent in the win rate because of two main reasons. One, its best win rates were against Demon Hunter and Hunter, because he just gets so much armor. You're able to control the board so well. You can't get bursted by their damage as much in Soul Demon Hunter, and with so many minion-based boards, with Demon Hunter and Hunter just in general, just say like a Brawl on turn 5. Unless you're about to die next turn, a Brawl turn 5 is enough to save you a lot of the time into both of those matchups. And especially in a Hunter now without Bran, one more turn to gain armor or draw like the Bulwark or an extra shield block for 5 more armor could be the difference between winning and losing. But people are going to stop playing those classes. So even though those matchups are only going to get better for Warrior, I think Warrior doesn't do that good into Paladin, Shaman, and Rogue, and Warlock, which I think is going to be going up as well.
So interesting times. Interesting times going on. I mean, you make a good point about that, and a lot of people might argue differently and say that it would be it might actually go up. But I'm going to agree with you here that it's something that is overlooked. It's the fact that a lot of people were playing Warrior for the counter to Demon Hunter, and if you're going to see a little less Demon Hunters, then its effectiveness will its overall win rate will go down. But I don't think that really makes it less powerful, should I say.
I mean, it's going to be similar power levels. It's just the meta is not going to be well suited for it. Like, its two highest win rates are against Soul and Aggro Demon Hunter. 60% win rate against Soul, 63 against Aggro. And then as you go down the list, Evolved Shaman's about 53, Secret Rogue is about 52, which isn't bad. But then after that, it just becomes a lot worse. Pure Paladin's 43, Control Warlock's 45, Highlander Hunter is, well, people aren't going to play that as much. Clown Druid's also losing. It's about a 38% win rate. Control Priest is 35% win rate. Broom Paladin's 41. Galakrond Rogue's 37. And all of these other decks that aren't Demon Hunter and Highlander Hunter are going to get played more. And yes, some of the matchups you are still winning. Like into Evolved Shaman, you are still at about a 54% because all you do need is like a Brawl or two to wipe their massive boards and you can just win the game. But a lot of those other decks that I mentioned are going to start seeing a lot more play and will definitely make it a lot worse just in general. Because you have to keep in mind too, the win rates are low because people aren't playing these decks as consistently, so they might not know how it works. Right. Like for Secret Rogue, I think that Control Warrior wins 52% of the time because Secret Rogue isn't being played that much and people don't really know how to play it. But after the nerfs, give it like a week, and I think that win rate will go down for Warrior a little bit and maybe be about 50, maybe even like high 40s. And it's just not looking good for Warrior.
Yeah. Well, the one thing Warrior has going for it though is that like a class like ETC Warrior, the archetype, it has a very high win rate against Paladin. And if Paladin, a lot of people are playing it, it's something that I think people will go to. So you might see some ETC Warrior.
Wait, where are you looking at that? Because my ETC Warrior, when I look at Legend across all regions, ETC Warrior beats Pure Paladin 50.76% of the time with a sample size of 6,000 games. And it loses to Libroom Paladin. No, it beats Libroom Paladin. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. 54% of the time. 55.
Yeah, on the ETC Control Warrior on HS Replay.
Like it's slightly favored. I will say that, but it's not like enough to where it's definitely not as good as Demon Hunter. Like you're switching from a really good matchup to like a normal good matchup, which is I don't see being that good for Warrior.
Yeah, well, I misquoted the number. It's in Diamond ranks, it's 58.4%, and in Legend ranks, it's 56.4%. So I misquoted the number there. That was just the overall class. So I made a mistake there. But Yeah, I see. It's still. I think though that if you see more people playing that, then yeah, I think you're right. I think it's going to suffer. I think I think you've actually identified another class that's going to get unintentionally
indirectly nerfed.
Yeah, indirectly nerfed. Interesting. What do you got next, bro?
So the last 4 decks are Mage, Warlock, Priest, and Druid, and 2 of those, I think all of these classes are going to go up. The one I think is going to benefit the most is Warlock, and I'll talk about that at the end because I want to end on like a more positive thing. But I think that Mage and Priest just have problems with consistency right now. I don't think either of them have any really good deck. Like, obviously, Control Priest is a good deck, and I think that it'll do fine, but it doesn't really have that solid of a win condition in my opinion. It does have combo breakers, and you can steal opponents' minions, so into a slower meta, I do think that it's going to get a lot better. So I think that Warlock is going to see the best improvement in win rate, and then it's going to go Priest, and then Mage is going to be about the same, and Druid will go up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Priest is good. Priest has one good deck, Control Priest, and it's more of a combo disruptor or like a win condition stealer than anything else. So if people are going a lot of slow decks with giant minions and big board swings, and you steal something like that, that could be huge.
Yeah.
Mage, I just don't like Mage, it's too RNG based. Druid, with a little less aggro, it'll have a little more time to ramp up and get to its big late games. And then Warlock, I'll talk about Warlock after I get your thoughts on the 3 classes I just mentioned.
Yeah, well, on Priest, nothing much to say other than I had a Priest play Cthulhu against me without starting it in its own deck, so that was...
Wait, really?
Yes.
I didn't even know that could happen. I talked to people in my chat about that. I was like, do you know if that's possible? And they said that they think so, but there's no way that they actually pull that off.
Yeah, I think it happened. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on it, but it just might have been a dream, but I do believe it happened that they did some thought stealing and managed to steal 4 cards from my deck, and that were
all of them were Cthulhu pieces. That's
all
crazy.
Of them were Cthulhu pieces.
That's stupid. Oh my god.
And I just was like, I didn't even get a chance to play Cthulhu, and I'm like, wait a minute, what just happened? Like, so we'll have to dig through the trenches to see that one. If you guys want to see that in the comments below, just give us a comment. I'll see if I could dig up that game on Hearthstone Replay. I try to put it out of my memory, but the other classes, it's I agree with you on those as well. I don't really have much other thoughts. I do think that Priest will be Priest. It's just the way the archetype is set up that you could steal, you could do all kinds of crazy stuff, and you could play your opponent's deck a lot better than they can occasionally. And the archetype I do like in Priest, I do like the big Priest. I think it's pretty cool, and it has.
I actually like Big Priest a lot.
Yeah, it's just kind of fun because it's very punishing and it just moves along, and sometimes the swings can be really cool, and it's an interesting deck. It's not fun to play against sometimes, but sometimes it's beatable. So it's kind of fair. Let's talk about Warlock. I am excited about Warlock. A lot of people don't know that
Warlock's been
I
one
love
of my
Warlock.
favorite classes.
I do. I love the Warlock. We've talked about it before on the show, how we love to just say like that Gul'dan is just sacrificing everything, and it's just, who cares about health? Who cares about minions? Let's just beat everybody down. What is going on with Warlock, man? Tell me. Good news.
So two things. One, I think Zoo Warlock, I've only played it a couple of times, and I've only played against it a couple of times, but I think that it's one of the most, if not the least, appreciated decks in the game. Like, nobody talks about Zoo Warlock, but I think it's still quite strong. And then you also have Control Ticketus Warlock, which I personally, in a meta where it is considered the 8th worst class in the game, and a meta where it's considered like a tier 3 deck, I have a 64% win rate with it. I'm 17-10, which isn't like insane, but it's solid. And overall, I think it's already a pretty decent class. Its biggest issue is just getting bursted down by something like Demon Hunter or Hunter and just losing before you get to take off. It beats Evolved Shaman in my opinion because it has really good removal spells. It does okay into Rogue because Rogue draws a ton of cards. If you play Ticketus, you can burn everything. And you have decent removal, but I think Rogue will be a little bit tricky. It beats Warrior because Warrior's so slow, you just burn all of their cards. It beats Priest for the same reason, in my opinion. And I just think that a lot of the matchups that are going to be getting a little bit stronger, it does pretty well against, and the matchups it did worst against are going to get slightly worse. I'm just really excited for Warlock. I think that Zoo Warlock is going to see more play and might be a more aggressive deck to fill that void because Hunter and Demon Hunter are being nerfed, so something has to rise and be a good aggro deck. I think that some sort of aggro Shaman or Zoolock will be one of the most promising things to take that spot, and Control Warlock, I think, with Ticketus, can disrupt combos so well that most of the time it'll beat a lot of those other combo OTK or like difficult decks. The only one I don't have a read on is OTK Demon Hunter. And because of that one deck, I don't fully know where some of these decks will land. I think that it has some bad matchups into Rogue and Shaman and Paladin. So I think OTK Demon Hunter should be played less. But I also think OTK Demon Hunter does well into Warrior and Warlock and Priest and Mage and Druid and basically everything else. So I don't know. But I think that Warlock will be really, really powerful.
I don't know if it would be really, really powerful, but I just think that it'll be very consistent. And it already is. You could find every beta will have some form of Zoo Warlock that will have a positive win rate. I don't think there's been a time in recent history where Zoolock has been even less than 50%. I think it always finds a way to be a winning that it doesn't have the huge discrepancies between 50% and 60%. It's never like crushing for long, but it always seems to find its way to a positive win rate. So I think Zoo Warlock is definitely gonna be something that's gonna be played a lot. And what's happened with the meta is that the disruptor cards really haven't been able to shine as much because no one's really playing the cards that need to be disrupted. Like you look at Soul Demon Hunter and some of the Demon Hunter builds, most of the cards that were from the other expansions, they didn't really matter.
That is true.
Right?
Other than Bladed Lady and some Il'gynoths, it's all just the same cards.
Right. But the thing is is that it did bring up an interesting point because the OTK Demon Hunter that will see play, right? Because you're saying that will be a stronger deck. It is affected by the disruptor card. So maybe the Control Warlock with Ticketus has some legs there against fighting that battle because you need the cards there. If you break the combo, game over.
Yeah, basically, if they don't get Pull Celt and immediately draw Il'gynoth, and if you play Ticketus before they can play like Pull Celt and potentially draw Il'gynoth, I think that Warlock could do well against Demon Hunter. But anyway, we should wrap it up. I'm just going to tell you what I think the order is going to be from 1 to 10 in terms of classes real quick, and then we'll jump over to your segment. How does that sound?
Sounds great, man. I'm going to cover in my segment. We're going to cover the actual nerfs, go over the specific cards. So we're ready to rock and roll. What's your list, man? Come on, let's go.
So I think it's going to be Shaman, then Druid, then Demon Hunter, then Rogue, and then 5 is where it gets a little iffy. I think Hunter will still be a top 5 class just because it's so easy to play and aggro is just in general pretty good. I think that it's kind of iffy on that one. Then I think it's going to go Warlock, Priest, Warrior, Druid, Mage.
Right. Well, you heard it here first.
I think Mage is going to be the one that benefits the least, and everything else is going to actually get benefits, and it'll probably still be bottom 2.
Sounds good to me, man. So you know what to do, guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe and hit that like if you haven't already. Wherever you're listening, watching, or whatever you're doing, you got to just make sure that you hit that subscribe button for eCore. And then we're going to get over to my channel or the second segment, wherever you're listening, and we're going to talk about the most recent nerfs and what's going on in the meta.